Okay, cool. I think we're live.
So nice meeting you, and thank you for having me on
No,
your
no, no.
podcast.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad this worked out. So I think the subject of the go live is Gen Z and losing jobs to AI, whether that's a J curve or a doom loop. And I know you're not strictly speaking Gen Z, but you're a lot closer to Gen Z than I am.
Yeah,
So I figured it would be maybe a good good to sort of get your perspective on it. And I wanted to. I think we both know that the jobs market is tough, right? We've shared like through adjustment, we shared like almost a million jobs versus what we thought we were going to have. The jobless claims number is higher than it's been since pre-pandemic, sort of 2021. And even Jay Powell in his Q&A acknowledged, right, that the financial markets are great, but he knows that certain demographics are experiencing a tough time, and I think in particular, if if we look at what the jobs situation is for the sort of 20 to 30 year olds, it's it's pretty rough. And I wanted to just show this chart to sort of give some context. And do you see that? Let me sort of blow that up. It was a post on LinkedIn about the unemployment rate, 24-month moving average for the percentile of 20 to 24-year olds. And it is basically saying, college graduates stand out because if you look, the the green line shows a pretty big uptick in unemployment, and the orange line, which is high school graduates, no college, down here is sort of at the lowest it's been for for many years. And so it's kind of an interesting, I think it's an interesting chart. And we can go back to just us. But so what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah. So I have so basically, I graduated in 2022, so I'm still in touch with people or students from my college, and like students keep reaching out to me on LinkedIn because they want jobs and stuff. So I am still like after like I graduated, I am seeing like a lot of unemployment, and especially international students with a lot of visa issues, especially like in the current like situation and stuff. The unemployment, I would say, is rising. So to say, if you have to go towards how AI is impacting the job market. I would say right now, I would speak only in finance, like related jobs, like especially in corporate finance. So currently, a lot of people are developing those tools that would help corporate finance be more efficient. But right now, the companies haven't adapted it yet, but I feel like AI will come in its full form like in like the next year or the year after that, because so right now we are at the stage where like people reach out to me that you are in corporate finance, just look at our tool and see if it will help a person like you. So currently, I think we are at a developing stage for like AI for finance, and they have started marketing it in US and other countries. And like from next year, I think like AI will like the companies will start adapting AI and start and the unemployment rates will go higher. So I would like just encourage students to be more proactive and start learning the necessary skills.
Right. So people are reaching out to you and offering their AI tools as potentially useful to what you're doing, and you get a lot of incoming like that.
Yeah. So basically like have been like people from India as well as in US. They just wanted to show me their tool, and they wanted to, like, from my perspective, they wanted to understand that is it helpful or what's lacking or what can be added to the tool.
Right,
So yeah, so that's where I think we are currently. And and they have like sort of started marketing it, and soon I think we'll see growing use of AI in finance.
right,
But having said that, there are multiple companies who are like very conservative when it comes to actually implementing technology. I've worked in Colgate, so they're like I felt like they still had technologies which were being used in 1900s, and we have moved past it. So
right,
many companies are like that, which are okay with having Excel, and they are little reluctant. But obviously, if they will see that it is more cost effective, they will start implementing it. There's like
right.
no way.
I mean, I've seen interesting stats like 77% of workplaces are using AI for automation as opposed to collaboration. So that sort of suggests that the companies are going pretty quickly to the replacement of workers rather than actually enhancing their workforce's capabilities. I even saw, I think it was Benioff, who's the Salesforce CEO. He made this rather what I thought was insensitive post saying, "Hey, this is awesome. We've just terminated 5,000 jobs, and it's really improving our productivity." I was thinking, those 5,000 jobs are actually people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in tech, especially, it's very like out there, and like my siblings, my brother and sister-in-law, they are in tech. They are very scared of like losing their jobs to AI, and especially entry-level tech jobs are, I feel, more. Those people are most like I would say they're most scared. So I would say like the only way out is upskilling yourself and being prepared for what's actually coming.
Right. I mean, I do see that, the Gen Z's representation in public tech companies has fallen since 2023 from like 15% to less than half of that, which
Yeah.
is kind of a shocking stat. But the other thing which is interesting is what's happening to and where those jobs are going, right? The number of job increases in like carpentry, plumbing, welding, and so on. That job market seems pretty healthy. And
Yeah.
uh, and what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, again, I would say like uh, right now it's like a lot more manual labor, but as technology progresses, I feel like more sophistication will come in those fields as well. But currently, with AI, if you have to, like, AI cannot do anything, I feel, in manual labor. So obviously, those jobs are still intact. But yeah, AI is more like dangerous for people like us, corporate finance auditors, and especially tech people.
Right. It's definitely coming for your job and mine, although I'm self-employed, so um, it's an interesting perspective, right? Because historically, it's the blue collar jobs that suffered, right?
Yeah,
During when China came online as the world's manufacturing behemoth, sort of post early 2000s, it was those jobs that really left, the manufacturing jobs, and we're trying to get those jobs back. But the reality is that we don't have enough of those skilled worker sort of manual jobs. Like we don't have enough welders to build out the electrical grid that we need, as well as build the submarines that we need to send to our allies to
yeah,
both. So it's like, what are we going to do for welders? Those jobs are maybe in eighth grade right now. and the existing workforce is close to retirement. So it's a big, it's a big problem. But it's a that I wonder whether that really is going to shift the participation in 4-year college degrees. And what do you think about that?
About college degrees, I would say like they would start implementing courses that would like prepare the students to be more adaptive to the changing environment. Also, like regarding AI, I feel rather than being scared of a new technology, it's better to be prepared. Like my theory is always that like you need to like even my like my mother has always ingrained in me that like education is for life, and you just need to keep upskilling yourself to be abreast with the changing like regulations, environment, whatever. Like blueberry didn't adapt to the technology, and so it was left behind. So even the companies need to adapt to the new technology, otherwise everyone will be left behind. And same with the courses, us, everyone needs to like in every field it will like have an effect. But if you keep upskilling yourself and if you find a way to sell yourself to a company, I feel like your job can remain safe, and you can still have a means of employment and a source of income. Also, I feel like this the new like influencer economy, like people are using AI to like automate the like I'm seeing this new trend where like the Instagram influencers who have like a good number of following, they are also implementing AI. So I feel like in every field it's coming, and people who are able to adapt it and change with it and use it, they are the one who are surviving.
Right, right. And it's interesting. We never quite know where the jobs are going, right? And once upon a time, Henry Ford said, if I'd asked my customers what they want, they would have said, "Give us faster horses." And I mean that's attributed and it may be apocryphal, but I think it does make it pretty clear that we are unable to exactly know which direction the technology is taking. I mean, we know. Let me put up another chart, which I kind of like. This one here. So if you look at this chart, it's the impact that AI is making in the tech sector. It's becoming more productive with fewer employees. So the red line is information and IP employment, the contributions to payroll growth, which you see is it sort of spiked up a bit in 2021, but it's gone down. It's been flat really since for the last sort of 20 years or so. But then information and IP output, the contributions to real GDP growth, is this line here, which is the blue line. And it shows right, all of these companies in tech that are laying off workers, and you see no additional real contribution over time. It's not a problem, right, for productivity growth. And I think we see that in the earnings of the tech companies. So AI is definitely making corporate earnings better, but employees are not benefiting alongside that.
I mean, my view in this, I would say, is that so whenever I also have to do some work, and since ChatGPT has launched, I prefer like, and if I'm stuck somewhere, I prefer like like using it once at least to see what the opinion is or how I can do it better. So
Right.
I feel like I am also like subconsciously I am like going on chat GPT typing like my questions, or like sometimes like my manager would just say just like do carry out this task, and I would be confused like what exactly do you want me to do or how am I supposed to do it. So yeah, ChatGPT to the rescue,
Yeah.
and so is like people in tech. Whenever they are stuck at some like coding task or something like that, the ChatGPT is pretty good at like handling such tasks. So I feel like we are using it, And right now, because it's available and it's not like integrated in our like system, so we are like using it unofficially, but soon obviously when it will be integrated, we will be using it officially. And I feel like right now a task which takes sort of like 5 people to do, like AI will make like I feel like 2 people can like carry out the same task using AI.
Hmm.
So that will be the difference for sure. Because the time like because the time I used to spend like figuring out how I can do it. Right now I can just like type it on like Chat GPT, and like in 5 minutes I have my answers and I'm able to do the task like very quickly.
Right.
So
No, I remember, when it's a while ago now, but I remember I think my parents probably bought the encyclopedias that I used when I was in high school from
yeah,
a door-to-door salesman. And, this massive chunk of, leather-bound encyclopedias, which of course are out of date pretty much as soon as they were printed, was the means by which I would go and research stuff. And now, you don't need that at all, right? So that salesman job has gone. The printing of those encyclopedias, that job, that product is no longer useful, right? So those things are definitely changed. And I think you're right. You make an important point. It used to be the case if your manager asked you go do something, you didn't quite understand what, then you were left feeling, how many more questions can I ask before my manager tells me, look, what did I employ you for, right? But now there's no excuse. You can say, my manager just asked me to do X, Y, Z. I didn't quite understand. Could you explain to me what he or she might mean, right? And there you have your answer within 30 seconds,
yeah.
and you can refine that. So I do wonder though, what happens to that cohort of the workforce that used to be used for producing presentations, documents, in some cases spreadsheets. Like you can go onto something like Gamma.ai and input the results of your search and have it produce a presentation for you pretty competently within a short period of time. So where do those people that used to cut their teeth on learning that stuff, where do they get their experience from?
I mean, I would say like, see, you cannot replace human force completely. So my point is just uh, like I said, like previously, like 5 people used to do like a task, or they were involved in a process. Now I feel at least 3 or 2 people would still be required, because obviously right now AI is not that sophisticated to have like to do, I guess, like understand what is required exactly. Like even for my task I feel like I have given Chat GPT to do like some stuff, and it has a very inhuman answers. So I have to apply my brain and then like make the presentations. So I still feel like we cannot, like right now AI is not as sophisticated. And but again, like I said, like instead of 5 people doing a process, only like 3 or 2 people would be able to
Right.
complete the task. So again, the unemployment rates will go up, and let's see how humans handle it.
You mentioned your siblings. Are they younger or older than you?
My siblings are like older.
Older. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're older than you and concerned about their jobs, right? So they're feeling that pressure. So it's interesting. There's a lot of different folks' input I get on this kind of thing, and one macroeconomic researcher mentioned today the the correlations between job rates and joblessness rates and the traditional predicting tool that represents for a recession. Um, that's something to bear in mind. And it had me wondering, well, maybe that was something to bear in mind, but maybe there's a new normal of unemployment rate um, that's being reset by AI. Maybe if we have 4.3% unemployment rate, and we think that the natural occurring rate of unemployment is a little bit below that. Maybe that's moving higher, right? Maybe there's just going to be a higher unemployment rate. What do you think about that?
I think it got stuck.
No, you're good. You're good. You did. You froze a little bit, but I think you're back.
Can you repeat your question? I think
Yeah, sure. So my question was this: if we use something like the unemployment rate as an indicator for a recession, and right now, the rate seems to be stable, but it's rising, right? It's creating concern. And so as that rate rises, the correlation it has with the arrival of a recession is pretty high historically, but maybe that natural rate is going up, right? Maybe it doesn't represent the signal that it used to. Maybe that we have to adjust for an unemployment rate that is higher than historically has been associated with a recession, because so many of the jobs that we're losing are associated with AI replacement, and corporate earnings and productivity is actually going up, and so isn't suffering in the same way. They're shedding workers and actually benefiting from that, or the shareholders are benefiting from it. So you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously, like the unemployment rates will go up, and also I'm like scared because of all the. I'm shifting from the topic, but the new rule that Trump has for the H-1B holders, like $1 lakh. I don't know if you're aware of that. So I think this will even like lead to further havoc, like because especially for us immigrants. Uh, so I would say, yeah, the unemployment rates will go up. Yeah, and like
So
what was
are you a green card holder, a visa holder? Are you a citizen?
I'm on a student visa right now.
You're on a student visa.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's really, I mean, that's hitting India in particular, right? Because we get a lot of those H-1B visas are allocated to India. So it's kind of like it's sort of a tariff on people,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
not clear quite yet what that's going to mean. Is it 100,000 per visa application? Is it 100,000 per year for companies that are applying for those? It's not entirely clear. I'm not certainly. It just came out, I think, yesterday, and I'm sure there's going to be some. Havoc is a good word. I mean that's we have a decent amount of havoc coming from the administration for sure. But I guess the focus or the goal of that would be to promote training and employment for more US
Yeah.
workers, right? But that's definitely going to hit the tech industry pretty hard.
I mean, what I've heard is that uh, like Trump actually wants the companies to train the citizens rather than like employing like like people from other countries and then training them and whatever. But I feel like this rule would be challenged, as like the universities, they would lose a lot of revenue because of that. So let's see, like, but like I have a cousin who is like out of India, and like the rule is getting implemented tomorrow, and like she came to know of it yesterday, so she had to like literally take like 3 flights and like come to US, and probably like if she's not in US until like today, then she'll have to pay $100,000 to be here. So that's a pretty big amount. So
Sure. So she actually got here yesterday?
yeah, no, so we all came to know about this rule like yesterday, and so like she was out of India. So everyone who's on visa and who is out of India, they're like flying back in, and if they're not in US till today,
Oh,
like starting
I
tomorrow,
see.
to
I
pay
see.
100,000.
So will this impact your travel back to India? Will this mean that
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will?
Unless it is like challenged, it will impact all of us.
Wow. So you actually would not be able to go back to India and return to the US without being impacted by this new H1. Wow.
This is like a real serious hit on all the people who are on H1B. And like I know so many people who actually like came on loans and to get their education and were hoping to get a job after and repay the loans. So obviously, like if this 100,000 is implemented, the companies are not going to hire international students. So it will be a real hit on their pockets because the US education is very expensive. Uh,
Sure.
so
Sure.
so like,
That's
I'm
I really
actually
hadn't thought about that. That's a pretty shocking consequence of this
yeah
latest measure.
yeah.
Um, I didn't know. I certainly, I guess back in maybe February, there was like a really warming period between US and India relations. You know,
Yeah.
Modi and Trump having their love fest, and talking about how, Modi was saying, you have MAGA, we have MEGA, and then together it's going to be mega. That whole love fest seems to have come to an end pretty quickly. How is that being perceived from the folks that you speak to in India?
So firstly, like it's like this rule is not only impacting Indian students. Like there are many other interna like Chinese and like
Right,
other like countries as well who come here for education, hoping for a job. So it's impacting everyone. And the talks in India is that yeah, it's like it's unfair to the students, and it's creating a real financial problem. There's no denying about it, and obviously careers is something that's very individual to every person, and by like government has to be responsible enough to not have like any personal vendetta, and like implement such rules which would affect masses at large. So this is obviously very very upsetting for everyone who is being impacted by this new rule. So basically, I think the issue is that India is importing oil from Russia. So that's where the drift has begun, and obviously, but like the talks is that like it will be challenged, and
right,
hopefully things will be better.
right. A lot of stress in the meantime, though, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, I think the I'm conscious that I did suggest that we'd do this for 30 minutes, so I don't want to uh, take a lot more of your time. But I think the question I have about this J curve effect, of AI on jobs for Gen Z, and then going back to that quote from Henry Ford about, look, my customers would never have asked me for cars because they didn't know what they are. Um, the J curve going down is what we're seeing at the moment for sure, and J curves are supposed to go steeply up as the sort of second phase, and I'm not seeing where that sort of second phase is coming from. And so I wonder about that. I wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, so the course that I pursued, so it was like business analytics. So it was masters in business analytics, where like we were taught about like AI, business modeling, and like implement like other coding languages and all of that. So I feel like the universities are like preparing students already for this for the AI phase, and like courses are coming in. So maybe the processes will become more sophisticated. And for example, like I think I learned something about like how can like we make like I feel like when technology came in, so people started learning coding, and before that, like people didn't know coding, and I'm sure like people must be wondering that like the coding will take away our jobs, but like it actually created a lot of new jobs. So similarly, I in my masters I learned regression analysis and all of these like complicated things which I don't remember at all right now. But yeah, so like there were new topics that were introduced, and new like how do I put it? I would just say that like new things will be introduced, and where like I think people can get education, and then like new jobs will be created on how to like be more sophisticated while doing a process. So yeah.
So I can see how it makes existing workers more productive. I can definitely see that. Um, what I'm not quite seeing yet is where the new jobs are going to be created and how people equip themselves to, to be qualified for those jobs. I certainly see AI as a recruiting tool, as a filtering. Everybody's forced to dance to the tune of the AI recruiter algorithms, and configure their resumes to meet what those algorithms are demanding. I definitely see that. I just don't know which jobs are opening up. Um, guarding. I can see things like, for example, one of the correspondents I follow at the FT, Rana Faruha, she wrote an article on. She was going to a company in the Midwest and looking at its production line processes and looking at things which traditionally you'd think are not susceptible to AI improvement, which is welding. And so she said actually they had um, a robot that was participating in the welding process, and a human was able, in this case, she took a go at doing that. A human was able to effectively use that robot to enhance welding skills that she previously did not have. So she could become a relatively experienced welder with the help of this robot in a very short period of time. And so, you know, just as we see, how is China going to remain a manufacturing behemoth when it's demographically declining population-wise? Well, it has the most sophisticated robotic workforce that anybody has. I mean, the robots aren't necessarily the most sophisticated robots, but they are able to augment its declining population in doing that. So maybe we're going to have people participating in the workforce as collaborators with AI robots in driving some of those jobs. And as we create more jobs like that, people will apply for them and get trained. I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen, but it's definitely a challenge. So, any concluding thoughts before we draw a line under this and go on with our weekends?
I mean, say that instead of being like it's obviously worrying, because like there's a lot of uncertainty and we're still figuring out. So I would just say that like keep reading and keep upskilling, and being knowledgeable is always a great idea.
Right,
So
right.
keep reading and be informed. That's my concluding thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on. You can stay on for a few minutes after this, and we can sort of round up. I'll end the stream at this point, and then we'll continue chatting. All right. Okay.